This is tutorial number 147, and it covers how to optimize your sketches using the center of gravity feature within SOLIDWORKS. Now to start off, let's open up a new part file. Let's click File, click New, click Part, click OK. So now in this tutorial, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to optimize your sketches to create the center of gravity, and just like the last tutorial, we're going to be using that center of gravity feature to find the center of gravity of your sketch and then move it around to optimize it. So to start off, let's create a sketch. So let's click Sketch, click Rectangle, and click the front plane. Now when I'm making the center of gravity and how to manipulate the center of gravity, always have the origin contained somewhere in your sketch, because we're going to be using this this origin to move around the sketch after and find that center of gravity for the whole part and the whole sketch. So to start off, just sketch this out, sketch a rectangle out, and just make sure that the origin is inside of it. Now with a smart dimension, let's make this 50 by 50. And you can already see that the origin isn't in the center of gravity, so it would be at 0.2525. Now this is just an easy one, so I'm going to just kind of show you the logic behind how we're doing this, and then I'm going to show you a harder sketch to do. This one's kind of rhetorical. We already know where the center of gravity is. I'm just going to show you the steps, and then we're going to do a harder one after this. So create your sketch, make sure the origin's inside of it, click OK. Now click Features and click Extrude. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a mid-plane extrude. What this is going to do for us is it's going to eliminate one of the coordinates. So right now we're sketching on an X and Y, and the extrude is going to come out of the Z. Now if we do a mid-plane, it's going to do, right now it's a 10 millimeter extrude, and it's going to do 5 on one side, 5 on the other. So when we go to do the center of mass, center of gravity, we're going to get a value of 0 for our Z. And that's what we want. We want to have an X, Y, and Z of 0, 0, 0, so that we can find our center of mass and know exactly where it is. So click OK, and now click on Mass Properties, and we're going to get our center of mass. Now what you're going to have to do is either memorize those numbers or just write them down. So our X value is negative 2.87, our Y value is negative 14.87, and our Z value is 0, just like I said, just that's how it should be. So if we look at the object where the purple coordinate system or axis is the center, and where the blue is where our origin, where we want it to be. So what we want to do is move this whole sketch just so that it's going to be on that origin there. So when it says to move it negative 2.87, when we actually go to move it, we're actually going to move it 2.87. So it's going to be a positive. And with the Y, it's instead of a negative 14.87, it's going to be a positive 14.87. So now let's go and let's move the sketch and try to get it so that everything's going to be X equals 0, Y equals 0, and Z equals 0. So get into the sketch, click Edit Sketch, and click Tools, click Sketch Tools, click Move. Now click each of the lines in the sketch and make sure that you have it selected to X, Y rather than from to, so that we're able to use those values that we wrote down and move the object. So we had a value of negative 2.87, so we're going to type in 2.87. And then we had a value of negative 14.87, but we're going to type in positive 14.87. And now if we look at it, we can see the blue where it was, the green where it is now, and it looks like that is our center. So click OK, click Accept, and now we have our part and it's moved. So let's look at the center of mass again, and we have a value of 0, 0, 0. So now we've optimized this part, and we know that the origin and where all of our planes intersect is 0, 0, 0. And that's going to be our center of mass. Now, like I said, this one was an easy one to do, so I'm going to show you one that's a bit harder. It's not so rhetorical. We don't know where the center of mass is, So let's do that. Let's delete these. And let's create a new sketch. So let's click sketch, click line, and just draw out a unique shape that we will not know where the center of mass will be. And again, just make sure that you have the origin somewhere inside of it. When you're actually making it, it might actually come outside of it, but just to make sure that we know where everything's going, just keep it inside. It's a lot easier to do. Click OK, and let's extrude this out with the midplane again. Doesn't matter what value it is, just use the midplane so that the z is going to equal 0. Click OK. And let's use the mass properties. And this time we have a value of 5.57 and negative 6.37. Now using these values, we're going to have to move around that sketch again. So let's get into the sketch, click Tools, click Sketch Tools, click Move, and click each of the lines. And then we're going to insert these values. So we had a value for x of 5.57, so we're going to add negative 5.57. And for y, we had 6.37, negative 6.37, and we're going to put in positive 6.37. And now you can see from the blue and the green where it was and where it is now. And now let's check the center of gravity. So click the mass properties, and now we have 0, 0, 0. And you can see that the x is negative 0. Now the precision of this is at 2 decimal places, so likely 3 decimal places on. There may be some numbers, but for the most part, we have it scaled down and we have it correct to 2 decimal places for the center of gravity. And you can see that the purple is on our origin there. So now we've successfully created our center of gravity for our sketch. If you go into the edit sketch, and it's right on the origin, and that's what we're looking for. So in this tutorial, we've been successful to create a sketch and then move it around, and where the origin is, that's where our center of gravity is. So by using that, we're able to know when we create a part where our center of gravity is and to know where we can move it around. And that concludes our tutorial on how to use our sketches and the center of gravity.